Hi, everybody. I'm Alexandra Thurstone, and I have the incredible honor and privilege of being the head of school of St. Francis. I don't think that was planned. Kelly, you need to mute now. I have seen a lot of people who I recognize and know on the list who are logged on to this crazy virtual open house that we are doing, and I see a lot of names that I don't know, which is equally exciting. So for those of you whom I have not met, I'm going to introduce myself really quickly. I do have kind of an unusual background for a head of school. First of all, I have a very long history with St. Francis. I started my St. Francis career in 1971 as a kindergartner. So I actually am a product of a St. Francis education myself, all 13 years of K-12. I have been the head here since 2003. And I'm here because I realized while I was in college very quickly how incredibly lucky I had been to have gone to St. Francis. And I realized that there were some very distinct differences about this school compared to other people's high school experiences. So I went on from St. Francis to Harvard and to the University of Chicago Business School, and I worked in the business world for 10 years until it sort of hit me like a lightning bolt that I really knew what my passion was, and it was this amazing school. And so I have been here ever since. I'm also the parent of two K-12 graduates, both very different kids, but both who had fantastic experiences. So I'm going to give you the quick version of why I think that you should choose St. Francis for your high school experience. Parents, you should choose it for your children, and what makes us unlike any other school in town. The first thing is the sense of community and the acceptance of all students is really unique at St. Francis. I think that's especially important today when some of our students are in person and some are concurrent. And of course, all of the turmoil that we have been going through in our country and in Louisville in particular. Our students are universally welcoming to all. You heard that in the video. Several of our students talked about that, but everyone is welcome and feels welcomed. We are also much more diverse than other private schools and actually most public schools as well, frankly. We are leaders in the independent school world nationally in our commitment to diversity. 36% of our high school students are students of color or foreign born, and over 50% of our students receive some form of financial aid to be here. But it's not just about the numbers with diversity. Here, it's also about our curriculum, the clubs that are very, very active, and it's just simply who we are. The second reason I think you should choose St. Francis is the faculty and student relationships. You also heard this in the video, but the power of the relationships between the adults and the students in this community are the #1 thing that students talk about when they talk about why they love St. Francis. These relationships and the mentoring that they provide by these amazing adults gives our students the support that they need to achieve their potential. And plus, I'm probably biased, I will admit, but we have the best faculty of any school in the country. We really do. A lot of them are PhDs, of course, most of them are masters in their fields. And they also have a phenomenal variety and array of life experiences to share with their students. They're passionate about their subjects and accomplished in their fields, but they're also truly dedicated to teenagers. And that is why the kids love them. The third reason is that we are the only progressive high school in Louisville, and it is a distinctive philosophy. It's not a political point of view. I want to be clear about that. It's an educational philosophy that was founded in the early 1900s by John Dewey and Francis Parker. And like many of the most famous independent schools in the world that are also progressive schools, we're not trying to fill kids up with facts and busy them with endless hours of homework. Ultimately, we're not trying to tell them what to think. Progressive schools, on the other hand, focus on teaching kids how to think. And we do that through an active, engaged classroom where students receive individual attention and can be challenged where they are, whether they're average or gifted. The fourth reason that we are really different is that the academics and our classes are the main focus of our high school. That is the most important thing about the school, what goes on in the classroom. We don't see high school as a stepping stone to college. High school is where your real education is going to take place. It's where you're going to learn to think. It's where you're going to learn to write and articulate your ideas, and college is the icing on that cake. It really is. In addition, what they learn is distinct here in our classes. We have very broad reading lists representing diverse viewpoints. We study all the world religions, and we have an incredible array of really interesting college-type seminars that students can choose from, particularly in the junior and senior years. And, you know, the results of our academics are excellent. Our students get to go on to the colleges that they want to go to. And I'll just give you one concrete example, because we don't talk a lot about standardized tests being a progressive school. But the one that I will talk to you about is AP exams. So 73% of our students over the last 5 years have scored 3 or higher on the AP exams. That's the level that you need college credit for or to advance to a different level. But what's even more impressive about that is that almost 70% of our seniors, again, aggregated over the last 5 years, have taken at least one AP exam. That is vastly different than most schools. So, you know, a lot of our kids challenge themselves at the very highest level, and all of them do really, really well. And the fifth and final reason that we are really different than the other high school options that you might explore is that St. Francis will broaden your horizons. Being located downtown is a great benefit that allows our students to develop the sophistication and maturity that only a downtown environment can provide. And the college-like atmosphere helps cultivate this. Our students live in the real world every day, which makes them better prepared to go off to any college they choose to. And, you know, I know that there are people out there who have some trepidation about downtown right now, given the turmoil in our community, but we are here every day with our kids. And I can tell you that downtown is coming back, and it will once again be the vibrant, exciting classroom that it's always been. And in the meantime, we are here, and it is still the asset that it always been in helping us create these incredible, educated, sophisticated young adults. So wrapping this up, our goal is for our students to leave St. Francis as truly literate, sophisticated young intellectuals, and most won't even know this happened to them because they loved it so much. And if you're looking for a place where your child's high school experience is decidedly not the norm, because they're going to love it every day, and they're going to tell you about what they're learning and why they love it, and they're going to leave here ready for college and a meaningful adult life, then I hope you're going to choose St. Francis for high school next year. That's all I got. And now I am going to turn it over to Suzanne Gorman, who is our campus leader. And she is going to let you hear from some slightly less biased people, some of our current parents and students and an alum as well, to tell you what their experiences have been like. So Suzanne, take it away.
Thanks, Alexandra. Welcome, everybody. It's really lovely to see all of you. And what I'm going to do is introduce our panelists for tonight. A little weird to have a boxed panel. And ask them just briefly to introduce themselves, their names, their sort of relationship to St. Francis, maybe things they participated in here or that their kids participated in here. So we have, as Alexandra said, a couple of parents and a couple of students. So I'm going to start with Wes Johnson, who has, I don't know how many cumulative St. Francis years under his belt as the parent of 2 alums and a current senior, but he can tell you a little bit more about all of that. Wes?
Thanks, Suzanne. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I know exactly how many years it's been. It's 48, and we are in our 48th student year of parenting St. Francis children. We have, my wife Laura and I have 3 daughters, Claire and Caroline, who are 27 and 25, and graduates from second or 2-year-olds all the way through the high school. And Sophie is our current senior, finishing what has been, again, a long St. Francis career from when she was 2. So we've been super happy and super involved parents of St. Francis kids for a long time. Also been on the board of trustees for Alexander. I'm looking at Alexander on the screen. It's, I don't know, it's a while. It's 20 years or so.
Many
yeah,
years.
So love the school. Glad to be here. Looking forward to hearing your questions and also connecting with the future Wyverns and other folks on the panel.
Thanks so much, Wes. Our other parent on the panel is Shane Brill, who brings a different and somewhat newer perspective. Shane, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Shane Brill. I have a 9th grader, Wilder, who a freshman at the high school, and we joined the St. Francis community for middle school. So this is, I guess, 4th year as a St. Francis parent. I also have a son who's at the middle school campus, and I'm excited to be part of the panel and kind of tell you about, being a parent of an incoming freshman.
Shane's son also is my personal record holder for the most perky child to step out of the car in the morning and get his temperature taken. He has boundless energy and just lights it up every morning early.
Yes, we joke. Oh, sorry, Suzanne. I was going to say we joke that we named him appropriately. So
absolutely, I love it. We then have been welcoming Drew Perkins, who is a recent graduate from the class of 2020. He's at center now, and we haven't seen his sweet face for a number of months. So Drew, please.
Hi, it's great to see everyone. As Ms. Gorman mentioned, I'm a first year at center, having a really great time here. Even in the weird circumstances, it's been great. Some of the activities that I did while I was at St. Francis include Quick Recall, Math League, Drama, and Underground Lifting Society, ULS Strong, gotta represent. And I'm just really excited to be here tonight and get to share what I have to say about St. Francis, and I hope that I can inform you all of some stuff that's new, and I really just want to be a resource to you all.
Thank you, Drew. And then we have Parker Smith, a current senior. Parker, please introduce yourself. Oh, Parker, I can't hear you. Okay, I think Parker's gonna try to rejoin us here in just a second. In the meantime, while she's getting reconnected, Wes and Shane, will you just sort of maybe start us off by sharing? Oh, never mind. Parker, I think, is back.
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm Parker. I'm a current senior, and I've been going to St. Francis since the 6th grade. So I've participated in lots of clubs and activities. My favorite, BSA and Afro. And I've done KYA and Kuna, and I did Science Olympiads, so all over. And then, of course, sports, played volleyball. So if you have any questions about sports or clubs, I will be excited to answer them.
Awesome. Thank you all. So Parker and Drew, let's start, I think, with the two of you. And what I'd love for you to share with the group tonight is what has been your favorite thing about your St. Francis experience?
Parker, you got it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Parker.
My favorite thing so far is knowing that my community has my back. At St. Francis, because we're such a small school, I know that I can count on anybody at any time. If I'm having, including teachers, if I'm having trouble with schoolwork, I can go to my teachers. If I'm having trouble with friend stuff, I know that there's always people there. I know that I have people to talk to. Shout out to T. White. You really have helped me so much. I am just confident that I have people to back me up, and that's just one of the best things, especially being a senior in a pandemic. It's really nice to know that you have support around you.
Thanks, Parker. Drew, what would you add?
I'd echo everything that Parker had to say, and I'd specifically highlight just how important the teachers have been for me. At St. Francis, I just genuinely consider them some of my really close friends. I believe Mr. Berkey described it in that opening video as a nerdy passion, and I just don't know if there's a better way to describe it than that. Their passion for the subjects that they're teaching, as well as the lives of their students, I can't see being matched at any other high school in the area. And they mean so much to the learning process that having their support has allowed me to be such a better student than any textbook or lecture could ever possibly allow me to be.
Thanks, Drew. I appreciate that. So parents, Shane, let's start with you. And obviously you're a fairly new high school parent. A couple of pandemic-ridden months in, but what so far do you feel sets St. Francis apart from other schools in the community?
Oh gosh, so much. I don't even. I probably will blank on some of them, but I will say that what I've been most impressed with is the school's ability to pivot during these crazy times. And that level of communication to the parents and the students has been just phenomenal. We get numerous emails during the beginning of the school year when the decision was, should we be in person? Should we be remote? And I always felt confident that everyone was really thinking about the safety of the kids, the safety of the staff, and the quality of the education. And, as a working mom, I had, Wilder, my freshman, and my other son working, attending school while I was working. And I always felt confident that they were in class, they were learning, they were engaged. And that was just so satisfying as a parent during these really challenging times. And now that they're back in person with both my kids, especially Wilder, a freshman coming into high school, he really wanted to be in person. And I felt very fortunate, and also felt very confident that the school was doing everything they could to make sure that the kids were safe. And I can't say enough about Wilder every day, what I'm hearing, which, a lot of times you don't hear a lot from your 15-year-old, what happens during their day. Imagine that. But every day he comes home happy. He tells me what's happening in class. As a parent, that just speaks volumes.
Thanks, Shane. Wes, what would you say sets St. Francis apart from other schools in the community?
Suzanne, I think Shane said an awful lot that I would agree with, and Alexandra, I think, summed it up beautifully in her opening remarks, and I think there are an awful lot said in the video as well. For me, when we were looking 25 years ago for a school to send our oldest to, we were really looking for something we considered to be different, and that, having grown up in Louisville, I didn't get in my high school experience or in my school experience at all. And even in the preschool, we found it, but certainly in the high school, even more so. And that really is the way the school and the faculty interacts with the students from a position of respect. Anybody that has teenagers knows that they don't always deserve the respect that they need in order to kind of move forward. And St. Francis really helped us sort of figure out how teenagers behaved and how to get the best out of them as parents. And I think the approach that the school takes and that the faculty takes with regard to those relationships are that would be at the top of my list. Also, and as Shane just mentioned it a minute ago, we watched our kids really enjoy the process of going to school and learning. And that's not something, and I mean, raise your hand if you enjoyed going to school, any of the adults. It's not something that I think any of us particularly, well, okay, Alexander went to St. Francis, that doesn't count. Well, I guess it does count. That counts for everything. So, yeah, the word joy is in our mission statement, and I don't think that I just think that the process that all of us or many of us went through in our education growing up is just not the way that we, if we could do it over again, would want to do it. We would want to do it, or at least I would, the way St. Francis does it. And so watching our kids throughout the years really go through a process of joyous learning, as joyful sometimes as teenagers can be, which is not all that great, but the respect and the process of how the faculty interacts with the kids really says it all. Parker also mentioned something that I think was really key for us and that we saw a lot early, and you see in the high school all the time, and that is that the kids respect each other and have each other's backs. I love when Parker said that. And I think it's a place, I noticed this that when my oldest was a freshman, she said, not only is it a place where you're encouraged to be who you really are, but you're sort of called out for pretending to be someone you're not. There's the very high expectation of honesty and genuinity that somehow comes through. So those are some of the things among a long list. I mean, the academics are terrific, and being able to look back, having two graduates and understanding their experiences in the rearview mirror, all of the things that make St. Francis great are even more obvious, I think, once the kids graduate. Drew, I think, probably has a perspective on this call that's unique, in that he can look back even just a few months ago and see the differences that St. Francis has made in his education. So lots and lots to love about the school, but I think the respect thing really for us is really where it starts and ends.
Thanks, Wes. So Parker and Drew, I asked you a few minutes ago what your favorite thing was, and now I would like to ask you, and we can start with Parker. When you were sitting in the shoes of all of the kids on the call and the kids of the parents on the call, why did you choose this high school? Why did you decide to come here?
That's such a good question. I think that I chose St. Francis because I knew that I was able to be comfortable here. Like, I didn't have to worry about trying to fit in, and that I could be myself, and I didn't have to change anything about myself. And that's really important when you're coming into high school. And high school is like kind of the place where you try to figure everything out and who you are. It's important to have people around you where you don't have to pretend to be somebody that you're not. And that really is important to me.
Great, thank you. Drew, do you remember? I remember 5 years ago, but why did you choose this high school?
Yeah, it's been a little bit now, 5 years. We're getting in there. I really feel like you have a shadow day, of course, but that's one day out of an entire school year. So maybe it can feel like you're not able to take away all that much from it. But at St. Francis, I felt the exact opposite. I got a complete understanding of what it meant to be a St. Francis student thanks to that shadow day. I saw the sense of importance that community held amongst everyone there, and just how much everyone supported each other. I mean, a phrase that I've heard a lot, and I'm sure that others have, is this competitive versus cooperative aspect of education. And St. Francis is a place where cooperativeness is what is going to be expected out of every single student. You are on a similar journey as your peers, and together that process is going to be so much more enjoyable, and you're going to learn so much more from it. Speaking from a specific example, my junior year, I just kind of decided on a whim that I was going to start acting and participate in drama. And I don't know any other school where somebody can just decide to do that and have as good of an experience as I did, because the friends and the sense of community that I got out of the productions that I was involved in is just unparalleled. And I just deeply value and am honestly indebted to St. Francis for expanding by pushing me out of my comfort zones and really making me the person who I am today.
Thanks, Drew. And, you know, of course, the 8th graders on this call haven't gotten to have a shadow day because of COVID. We are going to be able to, you know, to start doing that and we're having some tours and some different experiences like that. But we definitely hope to be able to give you that experience. And certainly this event tonight is also intended to give you a taste of that. And hopefully we'll be able to welcome you very soon. So I know we have just a couple of minutes left. I don't know if anybody has put questions in the chat or has something. You know, there's going to be all kinds of time in the breakout sessions for you to talk with Alexandra and me and our teachers and our counselors and all of that. But does anyone have questions for the parents and the student/alum on this call that you're just really wanting to know?
Don't be shy. You can also unmute if you want.
I would also like to say, while people are getting their questions together, that cooperative versus competitive is accurate, with a few specific exceptions, like the advisee games and our upcoming advisee trivia tournament. So I just, you know, in fairness, I don't want to, you know, mislead you or suggest.
Oh, Suzanne.
Oh, Alexandra. And the trophy is, by the way, in my office if anybody wants to see it later for the advisee games. But anyhow.
Of course, Chase wants to go to the high school, Henry. Of course she does.
Zoe, if you are going to come to the breakout session on, it's basically the academic one. I'm trying to find the actual name of it. Maybe it's called academics.
The downtown campus and curriculum
If
session.
you are going to come to downtown campus and curriculum, you will hear all about that. If you don't come to that, you'll be able to watch it later, or I'll be happy to tell you more about it anytime. So, and yes, Shelley Jones, we do have a pretty good rap on the quick recall front, and you know, and we have athletic successes as well. I mean, you know, and again, that sessions to learn a lot more about that as well. So, well, Tony, why don't you explain how the breakouts work, and then we can certainly answer more questions there. I do want to thank Shane and Wes and Drew and Parker for being with us tonight. It's wonderful to have your perspective, and just thank you all so very much. If you are just joining us, welcome to you. We hope you enjoyed your first session, and we are excited to show you more about the curriculum and academics of St. Francis during this session. Uh-oh, Barb, you're saying something's wrong with the performing arts link. Melanie, okay, Melanie's gonna troubleshoot you on that, get you connected. All right, so we will go ahead, for those of you who are just joining us, and get started. We're gonna do a brief overview of the different academic departments of the high school. Briefly, I just wanna share that a couple of important academic overviews involve our AP courses and our dual credit program. The individual departments will tell you a little bit more about the AP offerings in their departments. And we are excited this year for the first time to be offering dual credit courses through the University of Louisville in both pre-calculus and English 3. This is particularly exciting because while AP courses are challenging and have lots of other benefits, colleges really vary in how they accept them and whether or not that actually gets you credit or just gets you placed in a more difficult class, or sort of what the benefits are. But dual credit classes are almost universally accepted by any college or university that you might attend. And so we're very excited to be able to offer pre-calculus and English 3 this year and going forward. So, oh, okay, looks like we have a big problem with the links. Melanie, are you on that? Okay. So we apologize for the link issues. So let me introduce first Chris Hutchins, who is a world language teacher, and she will tell you a little bit more about that department.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm going to present my screen. So I'm Chris Hutchins, and I'm the World Language Department Coordinator for our department. I teach Chinese 1 all the way up to AP Chinese, and I teach Spanish 1 as well. And our department has a really great mission, and it's to prepare our students for college and for life. So we give students the tools to effectively communicate orally and in writing with people of diverse ethnic, religious, and cultural backgrounds, which is so important today. We start off with introductory level classes, and students right from day 1 encouraged to use their language skills. We want students to become comfortable with speaking and writing in a second or even a third language. So research has proven the best way to develop these skills is to speak and write a language daily. We, as teachers, use a variety of hands-on activities to motivate students to make it more fun. We've got, this is just sort of a research-based graphic that tells you how you start off from the beginning and hopefully move your way up after so many years. You can see how far you can go. These are the classes that we offer. So we've got Chinese. These are some of our textbooks, AP, as well as Spanish, our textbooks and our AP courses. Before I forget, there's AP Chinese, Language and Culture, and Spanish is AP Spanish Language and Culture, and AP Spanish Literature. So there's actually 2 different Spanish AP courses you can take. And we've got a fabulous study abroad trip. So our recent trips have been to China. So you can see Mr. Marshall is actually in this picture somewhere. I can see him over here. We went to China and last spring break. And we've also taken students to Ecuador, the Galapagos, France, and Argentina. And students love this. So the requirements are 2 consecutive years of the same language. So it is required. And our graduates who complete 4 years of language study with us report that they're really prepared for college level language courses. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Let's now go to the English department. Juan Ramirez. Juan, you're muted.
Okay, sorry. I'm Juan. I teach 9th grade English and our 12th grade AP Literature and Composition class. I also teach a creative writing elective. So what I like to describe our English department. It's this is a place where we read, we think, and then we write, and we read texts as varied as old as Beowulf, all the way to the most hyper contemporary, like writers like George Saunders and Jasmine Ward. So we run the gamut, and everything in between. We think about these texts by learning literary analysis and rhetorical analysis and close reading. We do a lot of close reading here. These are the basic steps in order of putting together an academic paper. So we do write critically, tons of it, but we also write creatively in the form of creative nonfiction, and we do this every year. The students write personal essays, so by the time they are seniors, they are comfortable with this genre and are ready to write those college essays to send out to their when they apply. And grammar, we do a ton of grammar here. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, higher level forms of mechanics and syntax, and it's expected that they use these forms in all of their writing. We read all genres, right? Poetry, short fiction, the novel, and drama. Drama usually takes the form of Shakespeare in 9th, 10th, and 12th grade. And in the 11th grade, since it's American studies, currently we're reading Angels in America by Tony Kushner. So we're getting, again, this a very broad base, a foundational base of literary traditions. And yeah, that's about it. 9th, oh, well, all our writing, this is something really wonderful about our school. And this is one of the things that when the kids leave, and they come back. This is what they talk about. The amount of time that we spend on them one-on-one with their writing. All of their writing is done in class under the supervision and the tutelage of their teachers. We will never assign a paper and say, and I won't see that paper for 2 weeks. That's something we work on in class, and everything is scaffolded, line by line edited. So that's 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade conferencing, because we know once they leave here, no one will ever do that for them. And that's something truly, truly special about our English department, that one-on-one time with their writing and that conferencing, which also builds those bonds in the relationship between teachers. The kids learn to trust us. And they know that what we're doing for them is for their ultimate good. So yeah, that's our English department.
Awesome, thank you. Rebecca, math?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Jones. I teach Algebra 1, Pre-Calculus, and Calculus. And I am going to present here for a moment as well, just so I can remember the things you might want to know about the math department. I want to start with the main curriculum we use. It's CPM, stands for College Preparatory Mathematics. We adopted this about 5 years ago, and we chose it because it helps us navigate our ideals of having a student-centered, discovery-based curriculum. So the students are the ones sort of driving the learning rather than just staring at a teacher at the board working out problems all period. They are actively engaging with questions in order to discover new material. And then it also emphasizes mastery over time, which means that students might have one problem a night that's from new material learned that day. And then the rest of their homework, which would be maybe 4 or 5 more problems, comes from previous sections. So they can keep practicing new material as opposed to a more traditional math classroom where you might have 20 questions of the same thing and the next day you move on. We use the specific curriculum in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, and AP Stats. And then we have 3 more classes that we don't specifically use this in. Those are AP Calculus, Function, Stats, and Trig, and AP Computer Science Principles. But all of us who teach those courses use these same techniques. We keep those lessons student-centered, we keep them discovery-based, and we strive for that mastery over time, even though we're not using the specific curriculum. We have lots of advanced courses. We have pre-calculus, which, as Suzanne mentioned, now comes in a dual credit flavor, and AP Calculus, A, B, or BC, which one we teach kind of depends on our group of students. AB covers less content, so we can take it more slowly, and sometimes that's what students need, and sometimes students want the BC with the full rigorous year of 2 semesters of college calculus. We have AP Statistics, AP Computer Science Principles, and then about every other year we offer a post-calculus course that students can take, so when they finish calculus they can continue at sort of rigorous level of mathematical study. And whichever one of us teaches us kind of picks whatever that would be depending on where our strengths are. So it's been multivariable calculus, it's been set theory and logic, it could really be any topic in advanced math for the students to continue with their learning. Lastly, this is just a little chart of how the math progression kind of works. So freshmen come in Algebra 1, Geometry, or Algebra 2 usually, occasionally in pre-calculus. From Algebra 1 to Geometry, or sorry, Algebra 1 to Algebra 2, you really don't have much choice in how the courses progress. And then after Algebra 2, there are many choices depending on kind of where you're going with your math. And so you can see where those line up. FST is just a course that covers many of the same things. They're in pre-calculus or AP stats, but at a bit of a lower level, so it can be slowed down for students who maybe have struggled with math in the past, want to keep learning. And I think that wraps up the math department.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. And that leads nicely into the science department. So I saw the question about coding or robotics and answered the coding, and then Luke Johnson will talk a little bit more about kind of the engineering and tech aspects in the science department.
Yeah, my name's Luke Johnson. I teach chemistry and a variety of engineering electives here. And so just real quick, our philosophy and goals for our science department, similar to all the other departments, we really focus on helping students or providing them opportunities to develop critical thinking skills and analysis that's going to be so important for them as they move on, throughout their lives. And we do it through a variety of ways, not just kind of your standard lab, lab experiments or anything like that, but we also do provide them opportunities to do personal research, whether it's within the lab or do academic research, and learn how to present that research, whether it's through writing or presentations. We do case study work where we provide them case studies to analyze and think about from different perspectives. So there's a whole lot of ways we help them develop not just those analytical skills, but also the scientific literacy they need. We approach this, our curriculum works, and we have physics, the students do physics their freshman year. And it's not the full calculus-based physics maybe they're familiar with, but it's more of a conceptual class that allows them to incorporate their math concepts that they're studying concurrently. And it also allows them, once they have the concept of force and motion and matter and energy down, it allows us in chemistry to go a lot deeper into the concept of why chemistry, not just understanding what happens in chemistry. So we focus again a lot on those concepts and understanding why those things happen. And then in biology, so much more of biology these days is about cell biology. So having some basis in chemistry, students can understand that a lot more deeply. And they can go a lot further in biology courses. We offer a full range of AP classes in all three disciplines, along with a huge variety of electives. So this is kind of gets back to your question. We get to design, one of the things I love, we get to design our electives based on student interest. We know the students really well, so we can plan out semesters or years ahead of time about what types of electives we might offer when they become juniors and seniors. So I've done a variety of engineering electives, anywhere from like 3D design and implementation to just kind of basic modeling and woodworking. Students are interested in robotics. We do a little bit of coding we're actually doing some right now in our chemistry class for a project. And then there's also a whole other set of electives. There's anatomy and astronomy courses. There's close courses in local flora, vertebrate zoology. We get to design all these courses, and we develop new ones every year, though, again, based on student interest and a lot of student input from those. And also in the robotics and coding, sometimes that comes up in our Science Olympiad competition. So that cycles through a whole lot of different events, and sometimes there will be coding and robotics events in those, so students get a chance to do that kind of outside of the classroom.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke. Let's go to history. Ralph Marshall.
Ralph Marshall, and I'm the Dean of Faculty here at St. Francis. I teach freshmen, juniors, and seniors. And our history department, our goal is to produce students who are able to have a historical and geographical framework through which to think and act, so that they can navigate their way through the world and through all the events that happen in this world. When we start with culture and civilization for the first 2 years, and what that means is these are basically world history courses, but we teach it through the assumptions of each tradition that has developed in whatever area of the world that we are looking at. We look at the history through the ideas that began to create these civilizations and learn the assumptions that are behind the decisions. And in this way, we allow the students to begin to navigate their way through discussions in a meaningful way, not one where they're imposing their ideas or appropriating ideas, but where they're actually entering the discourse and understanding the assumptions. We emphasize writing and research papers. They'll learn how to do a research paper, and they'll write at least 3 by the end of their sophomore year. We also offer AP courses in later years, where we have, in junior year, we have the AP European course, and then in senior year, AP US. AP World is also available if they'd like to do a little extra their sophomore year. And the best part about our department that I love so much and the students appreciate so much are the electives and the senior seminars that we offer, which are dealing with contemporary situations, contemporary events, and they are really putting them in historical context. And we get a chance to really explore the things that are passionate for us, and we get to share that with our students, and we get to work our way through history and right up into the contemporary event that may be driving that course. So some of the courses would be like the roots of terrorism we've taught before. I'm teaching a course called the history of basketball that looks at how sport is important in society and how society is influenced by sport. And we also have another course that's going to be taught that is looking at you know, contemporary notions of religion, for example, in like Star Wars, looking at comparing the Force to other ideas that have been developed throughout history and religion. So there are many varieties and many topics that we can explore, and it just makes history come alive for everybody. And it's one of my favorite things about this this department. So, and the kids love it. So thank you. That's about it. I don't have much time. So.
No, that was a really quick overview. Thank you all so much. We have just a minute left before we're due back to the final room. Any questions for any of the teachers before we depart? I've been putting little pieces of information in the chat, and I agree, Luke. The history elective options are amazing, and I still one day want to take one of your workshop electives too. So, any questions? About the film class. Amy, are you asking about the film studies or the filmmaking? We have both. Okay, sure. So film studies is housed in our English department, and as Juan mentioned, is taught by one of his colleagues who actually has a doctorate in film studies. So each semester he offers a different genre or focus. So anything from race in American cinema to classical Hollywood cinema to Hitchcock to gender and horror films, just a range of different options. And sometimes guided by student interest. Sometimes he'll tell me, oh, I'm going to teach this in the spring. The kids are just, you know, begging for it. So, so really interesting, critical look at different types of film and then writing about them. As far as filmmaking goes, that is housed in our art department. That is an option for students to take any year but their freshman year, so sophomore, junior, and or senior years. They can take it as the basic film class. They can also take it on an advanced level thereafter. And that is taught by a filmmaker in residence each year. And the claim to fame of our current filmmaker, his name is Juju Papaye, and he's currently producing a show that's on, is it on Amazon, I think? And it is, it's apparently trending and getting hot. But he also starred as Jamal on Sesame Street back in the day. So for some of the parents who may remember that. So in that course, they really run the gamut of both the technical and the artistic aspects of filmmaking. So everything from, you know, sort of storyboarding to, you know, editing and Final Cut Pro and using the different cameras and lighting. And it is obviously a very collaborative process as well within the class. So does that kind of give you a good sense of that? Okay, awesome. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us. Yes, let's all go back to the main room. Teachers, thank you so much for sharing all of that tonight. And
thank you, everyone.
How you doing? I'm Brett Pace. I teach English and film studies, and another role that I have at school is the director of diversity, equity, and inclusion for the downtown campus. I'm also advisor to our Black Student Association, and you know, we have a number of different DEI groups. So we have BSA, Black Student Association. We also have GRE, our Gender Rights and Equity, and we also have QFA, our Queer Student Association, and MSA, which I'll let Angela tell you about.
Hi, I'm Angela Katz, and I teach Spanish, and we have met, I think, yes. And so I'm one of the advisors for the Multicultural Student Association. The other one is Terry White, And so I will explain a little bit what Multicultural Student Association means, because a lot of times kids themselves have trouble explaining it because it's kind of vague. Because it is kind of, it is an umbrella sort of organization. So we deliberately kind of chose a sort of vague title for it, because it includes, I mean, we invite everyone, absolutely everyone, but many of our members, hey Wilder, I think that, yeah, okay. Most of our members are, a lot of them are immigrants or children of immigrants, or they come from maybe marginalized communities, or like maybe religious minorities, so those groups. But we also have a lot of students who are in it because they're curious about other cultures, or because they feel passionate about the politics of today as related to marginalized groups and so on. So I think, you know, it's kind of, we have a good balance there, good representation, and Wilder should join MSA. Yeah, yeah.
He just got a pizza. His priorities right now, you know.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, that totally. Yeah. So, well, yeah, and I'm serious. You should join.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. Today we had a meeting today. We meet because of our schedule with coronavirus and everything. We meet every other week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had our meeting today, and we watched the video about Halloween costumes, as a lot of them are represent cultural appropriation. And so we decided to, okay, it looks like it's the other one. Also getting pizza. Okay.
They're growing boys.
I know, they're always hungry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, so we decided, the group decided that we're going to share this video with the whole school tomorrow and advise you, because it's important and it's right the day before Halloween. So, and so sometimes it's like serious topics like that, but sometimes it's just like last year we had a couple of students that did presentations about either their culture or the culture that we're really interested in. So we had a presentation about Nigeria with food, and it was awesome, of course, because, you know, when there's food, it's very exciting. And then we had a presentation about Korean cuisine, and we had some Korean ribs, and I mean, yeah, it's a student, like, they were both seniors, and you know, they like to cook, and so it was really phenomenal.
Yeah, in all of the DEI groups, we have different programming, whether it's showing a film or, you know, for example, it's really difficult right now for our groups because we have to do a lot of things remotely. But next week, the Black Student Association is going to do, we're going to meet in the courtyard and paint pumpkins together. We're going to do like a pumpkin decorating thing where we can be outside and responsibly distanced and everything. Because, I mean, the thing about the BSA is the kids really love to be together. And that's really the thing that the DEI groups are all about. It's about bringing kids. For some, it's just being around kids who look like them. And for others, it's about being around kids who think like them. And it's really important that they have an outlet to come and discuss the things that mean a lot to them. I know that when we came back to school, one of the most meaningful reunions I had when school started up again was when we restarted BSA, and kids got to finally, after an entire summer of just anxiety and hurt, come together and talk about Breonna Taylor and really share the things that are meaningful to them. And that's really what the whole purpose of these DEI groups is really bringing kids together so that they don't feel so alone with their thoughts, and they don't feel like their thoughts are less than or smaller, and it gives an opportunity for all of them to really share. And so it's the thing that keeps on, giving back, and it gives outstanding opportunities for kids to do a lot of leadership. We have, for the first time, we're sending 4 kids, 2 from MSA, 2 from BSA, to the Student Diversity Leadership Conference, which it's a very prestigious thing, and it's associated with the NAIS People of Color Conference, where students get to go and do leadership workshop and learn how to lead in the fields of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, I mean, it's a really exciting thing, and I'm just gushing because I'm proud.
You should be. You really should. I was thinking I would love to come and be part of it, but that would be torture for Wilder. So, but it sounds amazing, and I'm thrilled that you all, have those opportunities for everyone. It's really critical right now.
Yeah. Every year with the Multicultural Student Association, we have a diversity week, and it's extremely popular. We have a diversity fair where, anyone can have a table if they want to represent their culture, their traditions, their religion. A lot of times we have outside guests to have, that have tables there also. And it's extremely popular. Kids are very creative. A lot of times they come up with games. We've done like old school kind of also quiz kind of games. And
Don't be bashful. You do all that dance as well, Angela. Talk about it.
Yeah, we do all kinds of things. But I think the most popular event is the diversity potluck, when everybody's invited to bring a dish, again, from their culture or their tradition. And it started out with maybe like 5 dishes, that was years ago, 15 years ago, maybe, I don't know. And now it's this huge, massive event where so many kids and faculty and staff bring food and share. We make labels where, we label them by country and things like that. And it's just this huge, very, very communal party kind of thing. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Yeah, this year we can take photos and put them on Instagram.
We will do a virtual diversity
Yeah, I was
fair.
about to say, we'll have to smell.
It will be reimagined. It will be reimagined in some way creative that the kids come up with, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What our programming is, finding different leaders in Louisville and outside of Louisville, but also, creating opportunities for kids to also have fun. I mean, we do Soul Week at St. Francis, and it's an opportunity for the BSA to really kind of, have a whole week of programming, and the kids kind of, decorate the school. And it's an opportunity for us to bring in speakers and for the kids to just celebrate. And it's, I don't know, it's an exciting thing. And I know we also do Gender Week, and that's an opportunity for our Queer Student Association to partner with our Gender Rights and Equity group to, again, bring in speakers and do programming and discussions that open minds and encourage kids to really, understand a lot of the things that maybe they're not experiencing, but other people sitting next to them are. And I think that, it's the whole goal of our DEI program is to really foster empathy and to foster compassion and to try to understand what other people are going through.
I know we're getting close to running out of time, but I wanted to give these guys the opportunity, if they have a question they want to ask, anything related to this topic at all, please feel free to unmute yourself and go right ahead. Oh, we do have 8 minutes, so okay.
Hey, how are you guys? My name is Young Cha. My wife is here. Her name is Michelle.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you guys? So we have a kind of a child. He's half Korean, half Jewish. Which is it's not a race, but anyway. So I call him sort of my absent-minded professor child. So he's very like cerebral, yet has a kind of a social skill that I had when I was growing up. Had trouble making friends, stuff like that. But I guess I'm just kind of curious as to like how you think he would fit into St. Francis. You know, so if you can
Look how far you've come, though. By the way.
I know exactly.
Brad or Angela, do you guys want to share some thoughts on that?
Honestly, what I love about St. Francis and why I've taught there for 12 years is because it's the Isle of Misfit Toys. None of us expect that we're perfectly put together, and when we all get together, it's perfect. That's just the way it works. And frankly, it's I was coming from teaching at the University of Notre Dame, where it's such a conformist culture. And when I came to St. Francis, and I was like, wow, everybody's just allowed to be who they are. And that was all I needed to feel gratified, and also to feel like I could teach the way I want to, and they can learn the way they need to. And really, that was everything for me. So, it's the kids who need us most that ultimately receive us in the best way. It's the kids who might not find their niche anywhere else. We're their niche. That's just the way I think of us. So.
And I would add that we have a number of kids that are kind of similar to what you're describing, but in a different maybe way. But like this is a pretty common situation for St. Francis. There is nothing unusual. So I don't think that your child will feel out of place at all. By the way, I'm Jewish, so and we actually
Russian.
Yeah. Yeah. So, with us today, we were talking about, I have like my big buddy. He's a senior now, he's also Jewish, and we're just this big, we always joke about it. And he is a member of MSA, and we were just joking about it today. So yeah, about how we need to educate people about Jewish holidays, because everybody knows Hanukkah, but they don't have any idea what it is, right?
Right.
So we were talking about that. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think, I really do believe that the wonderful thing, and then, sometimes I feel like parents want an answer of like, well, who's the kid that will fit best? And there just is not an answer to that at St. Francis, and that's the magic of it, frankly. It really is remarkably utopian in that regard. I mean, we have your sort of traditional jock kids and, your artistic kids, and I mean, there are definitely a lot of kids who fall into the category of how you would describe your son. I think really bright, interesting, maybe haven't quite found their social groove yet, but so many middle school kids are like that, frankly, and who knows what the transformation will be in him in the next few years. And I mean, Drew Perkins, who was the graduate that was on the panel, I would say totally falls into that category. If you would have told me that child would have been one of the leading roles in the musical Chicago as a senior, I would have told you were insane, because in middle school he barely spoke. I mean, so it's just that is the amazing thing, is everyone is welcome. And even the kids who are those sort of all-American jockey type kids are still equally welcome. It's like it's one big family, and that's what our graduates say at their graduation speeches, how that this is their home and this is their family, and what makes it special is we're not all alike.
Yeah.
I would add only that, like, the two things that I know, because I'm a film studies teacher and I watch a lot of movies about high school because I think they're hilarious. The two things missing from our school that end up always being in those films are cliques and bullies. We don't have those. We have groups of kids who are friends, but they're not cliques. And honestly, it's like a strange experiment. You know, like when I look into the hall, I don't see my high school. I see the high school I wish I went to. And you know, the kids, I rarely have to correct kids or adjust behavior because the kids do it themselves, because they're just like, hey, you know, that's not cool or that's not helpful. And frankly, it's really helpful, and it makes me feel like I'm teaching a group of my younger peers rather than necessarily a group of kids that I'm, you know, strapped with. So,
do we have any time left, Tricia? Yeah, okay, if I may add, my daughter is a graduate of St. Francis, and when she was in middle school, the question of money, you know, there was an issue, and so I was kind of hesitant to send her to St. Francis because of that. And because she used to come here after school and wait for me to go home. And she loved St. Francis because she was coming here every day and seeing this, and she begged me, and she did everything. She got into manual because, you know, anyway, she was admitted to manual, but she had no interest in going there. She begged me, and she participated in the scholarship competition, and she just did everything in her power. And to this day, she tells me that she's so grateful that she went to St. Francis, and her high school experience is unlike anybody else's. She's the only one who had an actually positive high school experience. Yeah.
Well,
are there any other questions before we come to the end here?
You do have a minute.
And Tia,
so
if you have a question that came up, you know, feel free to ask, or you can also come back and join us at the end as well. So. Also, if you have any questions or in-depth things you really want very specific answers to, email me. You have my name there. You see it in the corner. Email me. I'm happy to answer anything. I can talk to you about the things we didn't get to speak about, like curriculum and I'm a nerd and I want to tell you about every English book being taught in the English department and how we are doing an incredible job representing every voice that we can. I want to tell you all about that stuff. So please email me. I will email back in time.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Tony Robinson. I'm the Director of Admissions here at the high school, so I'll get to know all of you all pretty well. And Mr. Gabhart and Mr. Berkey are going to talk about drama and music at the high school. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat or unmute and ask, and we'll let them take it away.
All right, so yeah, we'll definitely make some time for questions. We're both going to talk for a bit about our programs, and Bob and I overlap too. And then we'll let you ask some questions. Hello there, Mr. Johnson. And then we'll let you ask some questions after that. So for those of you who already know me, this is going to sound like redundant information, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself as far as being the drama director, and then talk about the program and what we normally do and what we are doing right now when things are so different. So again, my name is Reed Gabhart, and I've been at Goshen campus for 30 years. This is my 30th year doing drama. And as of last year, I was the principal of the school, the head of the campus. And I stepped down from that after a long time of being an administrator. And ironically, right at that time, the high school drama position came open. And I've been doing the middle school drama for 30 years. And I was like, perfect. This is exactly what I want. So I'm back in the classroom for the latter stages of my career. And I get to do drama almost year round, which is what I love doing. So, and in addition to doing the middle school drama all that time, I also started something 8 years ago. I do every other summer, we do an alumni show. So it's for alums of the Goshen campus or the high school, and it's high school and college kids. So I've got to work, I want you to know that because I've worked with high school and college kids before for a good number of shows. But what we normally do when things are normal and we're not in the COVID era, we have a rotation that we do. at the high school, we do a 2-year rotation, and this would be year 1. And in year 1, we would do 2 plays. We would do a play in early December. I'm actually starting that tomorrow, ironically. So we would do a play in December, and we would do a play in March. And then in year 2, in the fall, we do a cool thing called the showcase, where students write short plays. They get to direct short plays. I oversee it, but they get to do that. They can cast their friends and all of that. And that is a cool little fall showcase where they get to experience all aspects of drama. And in our program, the kids do run the lights, they run the sound, they are the stage crew, they are the assistants. So they get to do all facets. And then in the spring, every other year, we do the big musical, which we rotate off with the middle school because Bob does the musical on both campuses, and he and I work together and have been doing so for the last 11 or 12 years.
You do now too, sir.
That's right. So that is what we normally like to do. Now, what are we doing now? Well, now it's very different. And we actually just last weekend finished the middle school show for the fall. When we started, we didn't even know if we were going to get to do a show. Last fall, we were 9 days from opening night, and our show got pulled from us, as Zoe remembers, and it about killed us. So that was a real shame. So we didn't know this fall what we would get to do, but we did get to perform. And we started off on the screen, virtually doing theater, which was a little weird, but we made it work. Then we went outdoors for a while with masks on, and we finally got in on the stage. And in 3 or 4 weeks, we put our production together, which was monologues and 10-minute plays and acting, improv and acting exercises. We had a giant audience of 30 because we could only have 50 people in the room, but we live streamed it for anybody in the community to see. That's what we're going to do for the high school starting tomorrow. I think we're going to focus on 10-minute plays this year while we're in this situation. I've got an anthology I just got called the Boston Theater Marathon Anthology of 10-minute plays. There are 50 of them. I've read 40 of them this week, and I'm finishing the last 10 tonight. And we're going to pick the best 8 or 9 or 10, and I'm going to let the kids help me pick them. I want them to be involved in that. And we're going to start those tomorrow. And we only have 2 or 3 actors on time at the stage. They have to be masked, but we found clear masks so we can see their faces, so we can see their expressions. So they will have clear masks, 2 or 3 on time, distanced, and that's what we're doing. And then it may be the same in the spring still. The odds are it probably will be, but hopefully this is the last year of this. But that's what we are currently doing right now. And we like to, in our shows, we like to pick different styles of shows, comedies, dramas, farces, go back in time, do modern things, do Shakespeare, do something nobody's heard of that just came out. So we like to do a lot of mix and give the kids a lot of different theatrical experiences. So that's our general philosophy. And I think I'm going to stop there and turn it over to Bob and let him talk about the music aspects of the program. And then we'll open it back up for any questions that you all have.
Yeah, and I'll also just say before I get rolling, if there's anything I say that brings a question to mind, don't hesitate to ask. So feel free at any point to either unmute and ask or type one in, and I'll make sure and address it because I want to make sure we hit any questions or concerns you have. So, no brainer that COVID is unbelievably tricky for the performing arts. And, when we got shut down in March, thankfully we were able to get our high school's musical in last time, which was Chicago. We got it in by about 8 days, kind of the bookend of what happened to the middle school students. We hate that they lost their show, but thankful that we were able to get ours in. But when everything turned and became shut down and we realized we had to relearn what performing arts really means, I told the high school students, I said, we can have a week and we can be upset about what we lost, and then we need to start innovating and figure out what we're going to do moving forward. And so, all things considered, we are still moving ahead with our year at the high school in the performing arts of music as normal as we can get, considering the circumstances. We still have all 3 of our main performing groups for music, our music performance ensemble, the vocal ensemble, and the jazz band, are still meeting with a very regular schedule, still planning performances. Those performances are going to be recorded individually, and the winter show, which is normally a really great fun event,
It still will be. It'll just be sent as a collage of pictures and recordings that all the students make. So we're rehearsing the music in class together, and then students on their own are going and making the recordings. That's our music performance ensemble. Our jazz ensemble, in fact, we just met today after school and remotely, just so everyone has a chance to clear the building and to respect those who are staying remote. We are working remotely with play-along tracks that I've built. Students are at home, sitting in front of their computers with their instruments, with their drum set, and we are working on tunes. And, you know, we're learning some phenomenal jazz classics and making recordings of those as well. That group's doing really well. And our vocal ensemble is still meeting, again, remotely, and working through some exciting new platforms that have all been developed in the last 8 months due to COVID, where students can easily learn their music at home, make recordings, get instant feedback on if they were in tune or they had rhythmic issues. And it's really paying off. So one of the big pluses of working in these recordings is that every student actually gets a ton of individual attention that sometimes you might not get because you can't hide on a recording. We are also still offering music theory, and that is also at the AP level for those who want to take a second year of it. That is the rules of writing music and composition. It is an intense course, not for everybody, but it is a lot of fun to teach and a lot of fun to offer, and not every school can do that. And then we are also still planning our spring performance. We're going to push that later this year than we normally would, because the hope is that as the weather gets nicer, we'll be able to do something outside and very distant from each other. So our students will still get a live performance this year. So all things considered, we're making the best of the situation. And the students have been working amazingly hard. And I know that I can speak for Mr. Gabhart in saying that there is still a strong commitment to the performing arts. It just looks a little different. And it's been honestly kind of fun and kind of exciting to relearn some things and to learn some new tricks. That being said, I am ready for this to be in the past, but we'll get there. We'll get there. And we're still pushing ahead. Our concerts, even though they're different this year, are still going to be really fun events. It was not that long ago, 7 years ago, when I started at the high school, where our concerts had about 15 people in attendance. And last spring, which is our last concert we were able to do at the high school, you couldn't fit another body in there. We had some amazing guest artists that were playing with the kids. So we've really become an event, and that's still going to be a thing, just a little different. Lastly, we are doing our best to take advantage of the unusual circumstances thrown our way by opening up our Google Meets to some really awesome guests, like the guys from My Morning Jacket, Grammy-winning composer Eric Whitaker, record producers. We had a record label owner that she came and joined our class, a tour manager, which has some really interesting stories about life on the road. So we're also opening up and taking advantage of some of those circumstances. That's a lot of information in a short amount of time, and I want to make sure that if anyone has any question at all, that we have a chance to answer those. And if not, we can keep talking.
Yeah, we can keep talking. We're good at that. Or you guys can chat a question, or just unmute your mic and feel free to ask anything. We'll give it a second here, or we'll roll on.
So as some of you might be thinking of a question, I will also add that our repertoire is largely chosen musically by our high school students. They do take a hand in writing arrangements. They do have a chance of making selections, and especially in times that are as tricky and challenging as what we live in, that typically gets reflected in the music that our students work on. So this year, for example, we've made a very strong commitment that we are performing music written by people of color, the LGBTQ community, and female songwriters, and the students chose all of the music that we're working on. Oh, okay. So we do have a question about dance as part of the high school. So I would say, and Mr. Gabhart, I'll turn this over to you. The way that we are best able, at least up to now, and of course, small school, we're small but mighty in the arts. There's always new ways of thinking and innovating and challenging. But up to this point, the best use we've had of dance is actually taking our student leaders, our students with more experience, and really utilizing them in the musical productions. So you may remember Caroline Frederick, and she played a huge role in helping coach our students in Chicago with some unbelievably difficult choreography for students that, quite frankly, only Caroline and one other student had ever taken a dance class before. I don't think it showed on the stage. So by putting them in positions of leadership is one way we'll take advantage of that. And also, you may have heard about sports credit. And I know that a lot of our dancer students, because dance is supremely physical, have been able to write up their dance as sports credit since it is so athletic too. Mr. Gabhart, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
That's actually probably more up your alley since you've been this is my first year at the high school doing the arts. I would have said some similar, that obviously when you do your musical every other year, all musicals involve dance. And even at the middle school level, we've done that where I'm sort of a frustrated choreographer who can handle small things, but I can't handle the big numbers. And so we always bring someone in. But if you have students that are that good, that would be wonderful to have students leading that. And, and I would say, Bob, it's not out of the question that, we have guest artists and visiting artists. I don't think it'd be out of the question that dance could be something that could be offered down the road. I don't know how much it's been. I don't know what the demand has been, but that might be something we could look into. But there are certainly avenues for dance too.
There has in the last few years been a dance team as well at the high school. And just in general, kind of no matter what someone's interest level is, if there's enough student interest and you have a faculty member that you get to sponsor that activity, just about anything can happen. There just has to be enough students to move forward with it. The last thing I'll add on the dance is that, we will also, in our summer middle school theater productions, we have brought in a lot of our upperclassmen, high school students, who work with and who coach dance numbers as well in there. So definitely we'll take full advantage of people's backgrounds and experiences and their interests. Great question. Are there any other questions at all?
Another element for the people that are new to St. Francis is that we generally, everybody who comes out for shows or for Bob's groups gets in. We have auditions, but we can usually, our numbers are not so huge that we can usually double cast students, and usually everybody finds their way in, whether it's on stage or in the crew. The students run the lights, the sound, they do all aspects. So usually everybody who wants to be involved can be. That's another great thing about being a small school.
I'm glad you said that, because I totally forgot to mention that. In our music ensembles, everyone who wants to participate, regardless of your instrument, voice part, or experience, is allowed in. So this year in my main group at the high school, I have one student who is a senior who is actively preparing to audition at some of the finest music schools across the country to be a jazz drummer. And he is a wonderful player and is one of the best musicians in the state for his age. And then I also have an exchange student from Denmark who has never played an instrument before and is just interested in wanting to do it. And he is working his tail off. And although can he perform at the same level as the other student? No. But in just a few weeks, the amount of growth he's had has been exponential and really fun to see. So everybody gets to play a part in it, regardless of your experience level, your background, or what you do, as long as you have the desire to put some effort and some work in.
Okay, do we have one last question anyone has? We're about on time, but want to make sure if you've got one, you can ask it.
Yeah, Zoe, we agree very much that if you have an interest in the performing arts, then you should have a home in the performing arts. I'm going to put my email in the chat. If there's any question that comes to you in the next, few days or few weeks, feel free to send me an email. If you lose my email address, don't hesitate to get a hold of Tony. She can easily find me. And we're happy to talk about anything in the future, any questions, comments, anything at all. We'd love to invite you to our digital performances if that's something that you're interested in seeing as well. So don't hesitate to reach out with anything at all.
I put mine in there too. And when we do our live stream shows coming down the road, if you want, we can make sure that you get the link. So if you would like to see what we do, you can see those too.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight and coming and checking out a little bit of performing arts. And you all have a really great evening. And
Why don't we go ahead and get started? I think this is regarding extracurriculars, which includes athletics, but it also includes everything else that we do that is outside of the classroom. So I think maybe, Trent, do you want to go ahead and get started and kind of let them know some of the things that are available outside of the curriculars at St. Francis?
Sure thing, I'd be happy to. My name is Trent Apple. I teach in the history department and teach history and law electives at the high school. And my son is a 9th grader at the high school, and I myself graduated from the high school a few years ago. So my family's all in on St. Francis, and we're really excited about it. I also am the Governor's Cup and Quick Recall coach at the high school. That's an academic competition. They both are. That we participate with all of the non-public schools in our area in Quick Recall. And then we also participate in the Governor's Cup, which is a statewide competition in both Quick Recall and also assessment tests, subject related things specifically like math and composition and social studies and science, etc. And we've been doing that a long time. And of course, we like to win those, and we have a lot of trophies to show for it. But I think the best thing that we get out of it, both myself and the students who participate, is sort of a developed camaraderie that naturally happens over the year. And it allows students from different grades to interact with one another and to form friendships, both with the coaches and amongst themselves, of course. We also participate in a couple of a little more specific competitions, academic competitions. One is Math League, which is as it sounds. And kids who participate in that generally like math, and they're doing it to strengthen their mathematical capabilities. And we also participate in Science Olympiad, which is a science-focused course. And both the Math League and the Science Olympiad are coached by the specific departments, math and science. And so altogether, this represents our academic team program at St. Francis. And it's pretty diverse in both the students who participate and in the types of competitions that we participate in. We also participate in a couple of student government related activities that are pretty wildly popular from year to year. The first one is called KYA, Kentucky Youth Assembly, and that is sort of a model state government activity where kids from all over the state get together and propose and try to pass laws, and they learn about the interworkings of government, but also how to negotiate, how to compromise, how to advocate for themselves and their ideas. And we also do that sort of on an international level, if you will, something called CUNA, that's the Kentucky United Nations Assembly, which is sort of like KYA, but necessarily has a more international focus. And also we have a lot of clubs. It's kind of a changing roster of clubs. There's some that are always there at the school, but it's pretty cool because we see every year, and they can be proffered or suggested by faculty and staff, but also a lot of them come from the ground up. Kids will, students may get together, they have some sort of interest that they'd like to see represented in a club, extracurricular club, and they make it happen. One of the more popular recent ones is Cheese Club, which came from students, and as I say, is really popular. And it's an extra way outside of the classroom, all of our clubs, for students to express themselves in a way that they may not get to sort of in the day-to-day classroom experience. And so kids can start their own or join ones there, and it's a great way to make friends from different backgrounds, perhaps different grades, and that sort of thing.
Great. Thank you so much, Trent. I appreciate it. Sure. We have two representatives from our athletic department. We have Coach Butler and Liv Gray. And Liv, you look like you're right in it. You're in our Goshen Athletic Center there. You want to say hi?
Sure. So hi, everyone. Like Shifra said, my name is Olivia Gray. A little bit about me. I came to St. Francis this year, but my background actually comes from collegiate sports. I was a head coach at a Division I field hockey program at Morris University for 8 years. Was an associate head coach at Northeastern University, a very academic school out of Boston, Massachusetts. And then most recently spent 3 years at the University of Louisville in Kentucky, which is actually where I began playing. So full circle and coming back. So the reason I'm at St. Francis is because my children will go to St. Francis, and when we came back to Louisville, we always knew that this was where we wanted to put our kids. So here representing athletics, I'm also the field hockey coach, and I assist Coach Butler in anything that he needs, and also at the middle school level as well.
Great. Thank you, Liv.
You got it.
Over to you, Tony.
Hi guys, Tony Butler here. I'm the athletic director, Francis. I've been here for a lot of years. I think around 15 or 16. I got a 16-year-old that is on this campus, Yvonne, who's a junior. I've also got a 8th grader, Savion, and a kindergartner, Nevaeh. And then I've got one that's 25 that went here for about 4 years. A little bit ago. Her name was Deja. So I'm completely, I'm all in. I've been all in the whole time. Love the school, love everything that it stands for. And I'm the athletic director, so I'll tell you a little bit about athletics. St. Francis, we have a robust athletic program. We offer I think I'm going to switch it over to a different view. Give me 1 second.
Walk you through a little bit. Can you guys still hear me? Can you hear me, Chief? Okay, good. So we've got a robust athletic department that includes a ton of different sports. We've got volleyball and field hockey and soccer, bowling, basketball, of course, boys and girls, track and field, tennis, and baseball this year. We've also offered sports like golf. We've offered swimming and diving, and all those things kind of depend on what students want. So some of the sports that we're able to offer, we're offered because they're individual-based sports, but we can still get them opportunities to play at the high school level. I'm just kind of walking you guys through. Here's our athletic boards and our record boards, and it's dark in here because I didn't turn on enough lights. I should turn on the lights. Maybe that will help. But here at St. Francis, we do everything that the big schools do, and I feel as though we do it better because we have the opportunity to offer kids the ability to play multiple sports and join different teams and join teams that are new to them and do things that are new to them, get themselves out of their comfort zones. We've also got some really, really exciting news. I just walked out of our weight room. Right now, this is our main athletic facility, and our fitness class uses this space, and also the ULS. If you were on the earlier call with Drew talked about ULS and shouting out to ULS. So we've got a great weight room and a great program, but we are about to expand, if you haven't heard, and we are going to build our fancy gymnasium on our parking lot out there. Let me turn my camera around. On our parking lot, but there's also a phase that's about to happen here soon, and I think Schieffer's got some pictures of it, but we'll be transforming this space, which is like my office is over here and a storage room and some other things. And let's see, in this space back here, into our new athletic training. This goes from Broadway all the way back to the parking garage. All of this space will be given to athletics for us to train our athletes. As you can see, we've got bikes. I've got a fleet of bikes. If you don't know, I teach the fitness class as well. And one thing that we do in our fitness class is we ride bikes. We actually, take time to learn the rules of the road and just get out. And we got bikes, we got helmets. We get out and we ride through the city of downtown and really have a good time with it. It gives us the opportunity to use the streets of downtown, which is like our big playground. They talked about being able to go over to the library And with our fitness class, we really try to push the limits of where we can go and what we can see. And there's just so much to offer downtown. It's a great place to be. Chief, that's all I got.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Tony has showed everyone the before pictures. I have the pleasure of showing you the after pictures. So I'm going to mute Tony so that we don't have echo. All right. Let's have a look. All right, give me 1 second and I'll pull this up. Okay. So if someone could unmute and just let me know if you can see this or not, because I can't see you guys anymore.
You can see it.
Yay. Okay, great. Yay. All right, so this is what the, currently what you're looking at is where our parking lot is. So this is, if you're on 3rd Street looking over to our parking lot, that will be our gymnasium. That is the final phase of our capital campaign. The more immediate phase of the campaign is going to be showing in the basement underneath our current building. So this is again from 3rd Street coming up. So you get a lot of beautiful visual natural light coming in here. So this will be the final gymnasium. This will be the athletic courts, concession stands. The weight room will be up above. And this is another view of those courts. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do between now and then so that we get something a little sooner, which is fun. So this highlighted area here with the pink square in the middle of it, that's where Tony was just walking through. So when you come down into our basement, instead of seeing what Tony walked you through, you'll be seeing this, which is a little lobby space, place for cubbies for kids to put backpacks, etc., before they work out. And in the center part here, this will be an exercise room. It'll also be for yoga. It can be for a small class. It can be for stretching, workout. There'll also be windows put over here on the left side so that we'll be able to get some natural light into our sacred space, which is a quiet room for reflection in our school. And then this is that open space that Tony was showing you before. All of the bikes are there now, and what will be there in the future will be our weight room will be there, so they'll be having windows going out to 3rd Street and be able to access coming up onto Broadway. So we are working with Luckett & Farley. You can see their logo in the bottom there. And they are our local architect, and they are working with us and a few other partners within Louisville for us to finish our gymnasium, and then also to look at redeveloping the entire block that we are on, including McDonald's and some work with Jefferson Community College. So I wanted to show that to you. It's very exciting. I don't know whether we will have it finished this school year or we'll just start it this school year, but it is our next step, and it will give our student athletes and all of our students some immediate athletic spaces to work in and play in, which is wonderful. So we're really excited about it. So that's it for me on that part of it. And I don't think I introduced myself. If you don't know me, my name is Gia Rucker. I'm the Associate Head of School here for Development and External Affairs. And I have a senior who is actually the founder of Cheese Club. That is her claim to fame. And hopefully that is what she's going to ride on her college apps and get on into college, graduate. So anyway, I want to open up the floor. Any questions for any of us? We have about 3 to 4 minutes, and then I'll try to send you guys on to your next session. If you don't have any questions, somebody make something up so we're not just talking to ourselves.
Hey, Shifa, it's Bob Johnson. Just a quick question. Just curious how things have been going this year, given, obviously the restrictions with COVID, and how you guys have been able to kind of weather that at the high school.
That's a great question, Bob. And I think we've done it every possible way. We've had everyone remote. We've had, and then we've had, we've had hybrid right now where we have the majority of our students here in person. And then we have, I'd say, about 15 to 20% of our students that are doing concurrent remote learning. So I can speak to how it's been remote. I think we did a really good job, but I don't think anyone really loved it. I mean, what we really want is to be back in person and to be able to do so safely. So our COVID protocols are really strong. We have, we have a community of over 500 students and faculty, and we've had only 1 case of COVID that has been positive since we came back to in-person school. And we went through contact tracing, and the person we were able to trace that back, and they were actually got that from outside of St. Francis, and they didn't transmit it to anybody. So that lets us know that our protocols are strong and solid, and that it is safe for our kiddos to be in school and for our faculty to be in school. So we're happy to be here. And our kids are actually doing great with the masks. I thought they would have a harder time. the distancing. All of us grown-ups spend a lot of time walking around with our arms stretched out saying 6 feet, 6 feet, because that's hard to remember when you're a teenager. But I think overall it's going pretty well.
Cool. How about from an athletics perspective? Has there been, I guess, maybe a question for Tony or Trent? You know, how has that impacted things at the high school in particular?
Yeah, I think Tony and Liv will be your best ones for answering that.
Yeah, the impact of COVID this year. I mean, you know, we lost our spring sports. We had a ton of spring athletes that didn't get to play, didn't get to have their senior nights, and coming back after the summer, it was tough because, you know, we got so many different competing theories, and people are saying it's okay, and then we're saying it's not, and eventually we got back to the point where we could actually, you know, do some games and play some games this fall, which was great. Our kids really need that output, you know, that way to get off, you know, let off a little bit of steam, that outlet that is athletics. Right now we are in constant talks about basketball and bowling and how we do those in this winter. So we're developing protocols as we speak and trying to get those things going. You know, it's been tough on athletics. The hope is that we can continue to provide a safe environment for our kids, and give them the opportunity to still compete in athletics. That's what we're trying to do. That's our goal, and we'll kind of see how that goes.
Thanks, Tony.
No problem. I will add, since I got about 30 more seconds, that Olivia is on our Goshen campus where we play a lot of our sports. Right now she's in the gym, but her field hockey team plays out there, the soccer team plays out there, and we provide transportation for the kids to get out there. And there goes Shifa's alarm bell sending her off. So I guess that means my time is up. But
it's perfect because we have the fields of Goshen and the gymnasium of Goshen, and you know, we have the best of both worlds as far as that goes.
And one day we'll have it all here.
That's right. Okay, well, so I put the other options in the chat, and it looks like we have some new people coming in. So go ahead and pick one of your next 4 choices, and thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Alyssa Shoemaker, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the registrar and data manager for both campuses. And I am just going to be moderating, letting people in the room and kind of moving us along. And we are recording, FYI, and this will be sent out in case anyone wanted to see this session and tried to miss it. So we are going to be discussing the college counseling, counseling services, and the Learning Center in this breakout session. And we're going to start with Claudia McCroughlin, who will tell us about the Learning Center.
Hi, good evening. I actually know both families that are on with us tonight, so welcome. So I would say, because you're familiar with the Learning Center in Goshen, the Learning Center at the high school functions very much the same as in Goshen. We have a wonderful coordinator of the Learning Center, Jordan Kaiser, and she, in addition to kind of helping coordinate, making sure kids are getting the services that they need logistically, she actually works with students, providing academic support. And then we also have other tutors that specialize in the specific content areas. So once you get to that high school level, you really need to have a much deeper understanding of that content. So we have tutors designated specifically for math and science in addition to the humanities. And then I help with facilitating like all of the accommodation plans, making that transition because they need to be a little bit different for the high school level than for the lower school or middle school level. And then helping with the application to the College Board and the ACT to get those accommodations for those tests that will be taken in sophomore, junior, and senior year. And so really our goal is just to kind of help make that transition to high school and helping support students in the classes that they might have difficulty with. And I would say that the other really nice thing at the high school is that because you have free periods built into your school day, you don't have to miss a class to get that extra support. You just find a hole in your schedule and we fit in the extra support during that time. So, yeah. And then I'll pass it on to Terry White and Denise Cole in the counseling office.
Thank you, Claudia. Hello, I'm Terry White. I am the Director of Counseling Services on the downtown campus, and I'm in my 15th year at St. Francis, so I've been here a little while, and yeah, you know, for the first time ever, which is really exciting on the downtown campus, we have 2 counselors that are here to provide support to the students, both emotional support and social support. And we do that a number of ways, but typically, you know, we meet with all new students who come into the school, whether that's a freshman who's coming into the downtown campus or a transfer student in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade years. And we make sure that they're, you know, having a smooth transition to the downtown campus and to St. Francis in general if they're coming from outside of the St. Francis community. So we make sure that we connect with those students, and then we provide ongoing support for not only new students, but of course returning students as well. In addition to that, I go into the classes for the 9th graders. I go in and I teach adolescent brain development. I think it's pretty important that adolescents know what's going on with their brain and everything, how that impacts their learning and their relationships and their emotions and their behavior and that kind of thing. So go in and teach that. And then to the entire student body, I go in and I teach mental health and wellness. We cover lots of things in that unit. And then, you know, one of my jobs is I go in and I coordinate programs for the school, wellness programs for the school, and that's for students and for families. So there might be programs, well, definitely every year we do programs on alcohol and other drug prevention. There will be programs on different topics concerning mental health and wellness, but we also do programs on digital citizenship and social media. We might have programs on distracted driving, programs on healthy relationships. Those are just some of the programs that we might have. In the counseling program, we try to collaborate with teachers, with administration, with the Learning Center, might collaborate with Mrs. O'Connor in the college counseling office, just to provide that emotional support and be part of a collaborative team to support the students and their families. Collaboration is really big, I think, at St. Francis. And the counseling, Claudia had mentioned that students have free periods. So we really don't necessarily have to take them out of class for them to access that type of support. They can find time in their day when they have a free period, or time in their week when they have a free period, either during lunch or other free periods. So they find that they have access to us, which is nice. And for parents, and families, we try to be a resource. So we offer parent discussion groups. We might bring in speakers, and we talk about different topics that are related to and important to parenting adolescents. We provide outside referrals for longer term counseling. And just try to provide any individual family support as necessary and as needed. So I think that is mostly what we do. There are many other things that are kind of smaller, but I want to throw it over to Denise. She's going to talk a little bit more about the 2 of us and how we work together this year. So go ahead, Denise.
Thank you, Terry. Hello, my name is Denise Cole, and I am actually in my first few months at St. Francis. I am still very new. I started in September. And so far, I'm really loving my experience. So Terry and I do work very closely, and we make a wonderful team. I will say we make a wonderful team. I'm the in-person counselor, and Terry is our remote counselor. So with that being said, everything has looked different in 2020. Nothing is the way that we've expected it to be, and everything has changed. So the 2 of us really make ourselves available to any of the students. We have created a Google Classroom, which students have become very familiar with, and it has all of the resources that students may see in the in-person office are now in the Google Classroom as well. They can click the different links to get to different mindfulness activities, calming activities. If they need resources outside of school, they can access all of those on the Google Classroom. And then it also has little Bitmojis of both me and Terry sitting on a couch together. So if you click on Terry, it takes them to a virtual waiting room that they can wait and meet with Terry. If you click on me, then it takes them to my email so that they can shoot me an email, let me know that they need to come and talk to me, schedule a time, anything like that. One of the things that I think is great about St. Francis as well is that we can reach out to our students through email, through the Remind app, and that's direct access to them. So we don't have to, like they said, go to their classroom and pull them out of class, shoot them a quick email or a message on Remind to say, hey, I really want to meet with you, just checking in, come down and see me during your free period. And then they show up, which is great. And then if my door is open, then they can just walk on in. It's a very comfortable space that they can just come and chill if they need to have that woo-saw moment to calm down, and then head on back to class. Or if they need to talk to me or Terry about something more personal, then they can do that as well. So we try to make ourselves very available to our students and to parents as well. So please feel free to reach out to either one of us if you need us, and we'll be available. Thank you.
Awesome. And to wrap us up is Leslie O'Connor, who is the college counselor, the college guru, who is so wonderful. So Leslie's going to tell us about that.
Hello, welcome. It's nice to see everybody at the same time because we get to do this in person, but we don't get to see you guys. So we're so happy that you joined us. I really try to take the college process in a developmental way because clearly different times in a student's development, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, they're at different points. So freshman year, certainly don't want to overwhelm them with college information. Definitely want to tell them what a GPA is and get them familiar with, what will be on their transcript that will go to college, and talk to them just in general about how they structure their high school experience to relate to what they might want to do in college. So, I get a chance to meet them and get to know them, but it's much more relaxed because, of course, we want them to learn the St. Francis high school experience and transition to that. I do offer a college night for freshman and sophomore parents, so that introduction piece is there just to start thinking ahead and planning in the spring. And then, of course, into sophomore year, there's more emphasis on getting ready for standardized testing. So our sophomores and juniors take the PSAT, which is a practice test for the SAT. And then we do offer the opportunity for students to also take a pre-ACT in 9th and 10th grade, which is a good preparation for the ACT. And then again, we walk through kind of what to expect moving into junior year. And I also do an assessment with sophomores called U Science, where they take that online and they get a good opportunity to figure out some aptitudes that might connect well to a major or a career. And it's a great report of information that they can access for 10 years. And so the nice thing about it is maybe it's not as topical for them until they're a senior. And then when they get in college, it becomes more relevant and they have that data. And then junior year, of course, is really that search process kicks in. So I'm helping students identify colleges and answering questions and giving them information about the standardized testing they'll be doing if there's still standardized testing in their future with COVID, which I hope maybe there's not. And then senior year, of course, is the application process. So, I can help with any of that they need, including sometimes pushing the send button for the application if they want me to. It's a stressful time, and so I try to remember that they need to celebrate, sending an application and being finished with the process and making good decisions. And of course, parents are a partner in that. So I want parents to always feel like they can contact me, come see me, email me. You know your child the best, and so your input is very valuable, of course. And again, I think that being a college counselor full-time in a small school is such a wonderful opportunity, because our students are never going to get left behind. I'm never going to miss something with them. They're not going to fall into a situation where they don't know what they're doing or they're overwhelmed, because, you know, I'm here to help them with that. So really, the chocolate and the mints or whatever I can do to help them, you know, de-stress a little bit in the process. And again, our students are so successful, and the colleges respect St. Francis and they know us. So the variety of colleges they apply to and the opportunities they end up having, both with admission to a large variety of schools around the country and scholarship, is great and very impressive. So they do really well in the process. So I'm always here to answer questions or help. And again, I hope, you know, as they go through St. Francis, of course, I will get to know them better, but it's such a benefit to be here to get to know them in a small school from freshman through senior year. So, you know, making those choices and helping them with that is, you know, such a privilege. So I really like what I do.
Awesome. Well, that's a little introduction to our counseling and learning center and college counseling services. Does anyone have questions? We have a few more minutes before we start the next breakout session. So feel free to unmute, or you could put a question in the chat. I don't see any questions yet. I'm going to share with you the link for the raffle to make sure that you fill that out so you can win some please and thank you cookies. I think there's some other St. Francis prizes. And at 7:25, which is just in a few minutes, these are the links to the other breakout sessions that you can choose from. So you are in the college counseling. Oh, I removed that one from the list. Okay, so you have 4 other options. The performing arts, a breakout session with Mr. Bertkey, and probably Mr. Gabhart's on that one as well. You can learn about the curriculum and the downtown campus from Ms. Gorman, or the athletics program, or our diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is so important to the St. Francis philosophy. So any of those would be really great breakout sessions. All right. Well, if no one else has questions, have a good evening, and we will just wait for our next group for the next breakout. Thank you for joining us.
What other questions does anybody have that you did not get a chance to answer? I feel like tonight has gone so quickly. We didn't want to weird everybody out on screen fatigue after everybody's probably spent a chunk of the day on screen. But what more can we answer for you or tell you about the school?
Hannah typed in a question, will the other info session recordings be available? Yes, we are planning to email all the videos out, so if there was a session you didn't get to attend, you will be able to watch that recording. So that's a great question. So yes, we will work on that. And then when will the gymnasium project be completed? I'm gonna have to pass that one along to Alexandra.
I will take that one, yeah. So great question. As you might imagine, the pandemic threw a little wrench in that plan, as it did in many plans. So I don't have a concrete answer for you. We have not finished raising the money for it. We got to raise the money before we can build it. So as soon as we raise the money, we will build it. But certainly the hope is within the next few years is the goal. As soon as possible is the goal.
Alexandra, don't forget about the phase in between.
Yes, that's a great point, Tony. Thank you. Yes, we are going to be completing an interim plan, hopefully, potentially even this year before school's out. We have quite a bit of additional square footage in the basement of the high school building that is the contiguous athletic space to the new gymnasium. So we are going to be constructing that space. It's going to be a large sort of studio classroom kind of thing where one can do dance, yoga, other kinds of activities, and then just sort of some large athletic space, again, where teams could work out if the weather is bad, or you know, if they want to work inside. So that is going to happen, and then there'll be a little lobby space as well, and that's going to connect to our current basement space. And also the fitness room will go there temporarily. The fitness room the weight room, I should say, is going to move into the gym ultimately when we build the gym. And then there will also be additional sort of backstage shop area for the theater program where the fitness room currently is. So that plan we are finalizing with our architects, Luckett & Farley, right now, and then getting pricing on it. And we really do hope to begin work on that this year. So,
and Alexandra, thank you, Alexandra. There was a question in the chat from Lita about where will the parking be when the gymnasium is complete. Great question. We bought another parking lot right next to it. So if you come down 2nd Street, you'll see a building that has murals all around it. One of our alums painted that for us, and so that will be a multi-level parking garage. So that's where we'll park, but until then, we'll still park on our existing lot. And drawings of both the final gym and the interim phase of the athletic spaces are on our athletic page of our website, and also our fundraising page of our website if you would like to help us finish it sooner than later. So thank you.
Bob is chiming in about, despite not having a gym, our PE program is great with all kinds of activities. And that is true. I know you guys saw in the video, I think, the bike program, which is a unique aspect of PE programs. I don't know of anyone else who bikes around downtown with their PE program, but we do. And it's pretty cool. And then they do also sort of individual training programs in our weight room for the rest of PE as well. So that is very true. And then, you know, our fields, just so you know, our athletic facilities that we do use, our home fields for field hockey and soccer are on our Goshen campus. So those are our home fields, but our teams generally practice in city parks. For example, Seneca Park is where our soccer and field hockey teams have been practicing the last few years. Our tennis teams play at Crescent Hill Park by the Mary T. Maher Center. So yeah, we make use of different facilities. That's one of the unique challenges of being a downtown school is we don't have, yes, baseball at Thurman Hutchins. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, so that's how athletics work, and it does work really well, and that's been the case since the 70s when the high school was founded. We've played, you know, in all different venues. Yeah, we do have track at Central High School, which is a nice partnership we've had with them for many years. They're right down the street from us. And we've been playing volleyball at our Goshen campus. So what other questions do you guys have out there?
So I'll just say a few words, and if anyone has any other questions, feel free to type it in the chat. But for our non-Goshen family, so our students that are coming from other schools in Louisville, I just wanted to make sure you kind of understood the admissions process. So here you'll see a slide with what we require to be considered for admission to St. Francis, and we are offering both in-person and virtual options for a classroom visit experience for students. We're also doing tours in person as well. So if you haven't toured already, we would love to get that scheduled, and you can feel free to contact me to do that. The next slide will have my contact information. You all can feel free to reach out to me either by email or phone, and of course we'll be following up after this event to send you some more information. So are there any final questions that anyone's dying to ask?
Don't be shy. Feel free.
Yes, please do come tour. So. All right. Well, we really appreciate everyone attending the open house tonight, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Thanks, everybody.